Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is a mucking fun day. Did you have a good weekend? Well, you better have. Now it's time to get our week ruined by the Monday to cover the news that happened over the weekend and today here on Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our news 10 to 15 minutes before we start, and we haven't had any caffeine. Let's read those headlines. Today on Before Coffee, reactor in Japan's 2011 disaster area halted just days after a restart.
And music producer Quincy Jones has passed away.
Who is Kemi Badenoch, the first black woman to lead the Britain's Conservative Party?
And in space news, China astronauts return to Earth, and NASA's Voyager phones home.
Prince Martin falls through a hole in Melbourne stage weeks after Olivia Rodrigo's mishap.
And it's National Candy Day, November 4th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Let's get this Monday started. I hope everyone is ready for some information because we've got a lot of it. Let's talk about the reactor in Japan. Now this is going to be a short story. Anybody who was around in 2011 may have remembered when a huge earthquake and tsunami destroyed the area, I think it was the east side of Japan. And unfortunately, a reactor went into kind of meltdown and they had to shut it down. And that area has basically been abandoned, except for the people working on the reactor. I think we also covered a story on this in the past about how they were trying to get it back working or shut it down forever. And it's going to take a long time to do that. Oh yeah, they were able to retrieve some meltdown material, I think, to figure out what happened or what's going on. But today, this is coming out of Sendai on Japan Today. The nuclear reactor in northeastern, I was correct, the east side of Japan, was halted today on the 4th of November for checks. The plant operator said just days after it became the first to restart in the region since the 2011 earthquake and tsunami disaster. Tohoku Electric Power Company is facing difficulties in sending in a device to confirm the condition of the number 2 reactor at the Onagawa plant in Miyagi Prefecture. The reactor last Tuesday, which was, I think, October 29th? Yeah, October 29th, joined a dozen others in the country that have been rebooted after meeting more stringent safety standards imposed in the wake of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant crisis, triggered by the quake tsunami disaster that devastated the coastal area, including in Miyagi. Tohoku Electric Power had planned to restart the power generation and transmission on Sunday, which was November 3rd. The restart of the Onagawa reactor marked the first time in Japan that a boiling water reactor, the same type as the Fukushima Daiichi reactor that suffered fuel meltdowns, had been brought online since the 2011 disaster. I see. So what happened is that the Fukushima Daiichi reactor melted down, and they were like, oh, that is a very dangerous scenario that could happen again because it's Japan. They have tsunamis and earthquakes all the time. So they shut down all of the reactors that have that same exact type of boiling water reactor as a safety precaution so that none of the other ones would, could suffer from that same disaster. But because they did that, they increased the requirements to run a reactor of that type. This is the first, a bunch of them have been turned on after they've met that requirement, the new requirements for safety. Okay. Explaining the story to myself. Onagawa plant, located closest to the epicenter of the magnitude 9 earthquake that hit on March 11, 2011, was struck by a tsunami, waves around 13 meters high. The number 2 reactor cleared safety screening in February 2020 and gained local consent to resume operation. The number 1 reactor will be decommissioned. So they've still got 2 running. But unfortunately, better safe than sorry, as some people in the comments are saying. Hopefully Japan will be able to handle this problem because, of course, as we talk about all the time on the show, we've got climate change to worry about, and Fortunately, nuclear power is one of the things that doesn't generate greenhouse gases as much as, like a coal plant or just cars and animals, farms. But yeah, it's safer to not kill everybody with a radiation meltdown than having power. They're just trying to become more self-reliant, but safely, and that's better. Well, that's my story coming out of Japan. On to yours.
Okay, so sad news. I guess from Los Angeles. Los Angeles guy. AP News. Quincy Jones has passed away at the age of 91. Music titan who worked with everyone from Frank Sinatra to Michael Jackson. This is by Hillel Atali of AP News. Quincy Jones, a multi-talented music titan whose vast legacy ranged from producing Michael Jackson's historic Thriller album to writing prize-winning film and television scores, and collaborating with Frank Sinatra and Ray Charles and hundreds of other recording artists, died at the age of 91. Jones' publicist Arnold Robinson says he died Sunday night at his home in Bel Air section of Los Angeles, surrounded by his family. Tonight, with full broken hearts, we must share the news of our father and brother Quincy Jones passing, the family said in a statement. And although this is an incredible loss to our family, we celebrate the great life that he lived and know there will never be another like him. Jones arose from running with gangs in the south side of Chicago to the very heights of show business, becoming one of the first black executives to thrive in Hollywood and amassing an extraordinary musical catalog that includes some of the richest moments in American rhythm and song. For years, it was unlikely to find a music lover who did not own at least one record with his name on it, or a leader in the entertainment industry and beyond who did not have some connection to him. Jones kept in company with presidents and foreign leaders, movie stars, musicians, philanthropists, and business leaders. He toured with Count Basie and Lionel Hampton, arranged records for Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald, composed the soundtracks for Roots in the Heat of the Night, and organized President Bill Clinton's first inaugural celebration, and oversaw the all-star recording of We Are the World, in 1985 charity record for the famine relief in Africa. Lionel Richie, who co-wrote We Are the World and was among the featured singers, would call Jones the master orchestrator. In a career which began when records were still played on vinyl 78 RPM top honors likely go to his production. In a career which began when records were still played on vinyl 78s, top honors likely go to his productions of Jackson's Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad, were albums near universal in their style and appeal. Jones' versatility and imagination helped set off the explosive talents of Jackson as he transformed from child star to the king of pop on such classic tracks as Billie Jean and Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Jones and Jackson fashioned global soundscape out of disco, funk, pop, rock, R&B, and jazz, and African chants. For Thriller, some of the most memorable touches originated with Jones, who recruited Eddie Van Halen for a guitar solo on the genre-fusing Beat It, and brought in Vincent Price for a ghoulish voiceover in the title track. Thriller sold more than 20 million copies in 1983 alone and has contended with the Eagles' greatest hits 71-75, among others, as the best-selling album of all time. If an album doesn't do well, everyone says it was the producer's fault, so if it does well, it should be your fault too, Jones said in an interview at the Library of Congress in 2016. The tracks just all of a sudden appear. The tracks don't just all of a sudden appear. The producer has to have skill, experience, and ability to guide the vision to completion. His list of honors includes 18 pages on his 2001 autobiography, including 27 Grammys at the time, it's 28 now, an honorary Academy Award, now 2, an Emmy for Roots. He also received France's Legion d'Honneur, the Rudolph Valentino Award for Republic of Italy, and the Kennedy Center tribute for his contributions to American culture. He was the subject of the 1990 documentary Listen Up! The Lives of Quincy Jones, and the 2018 film by daughter Rashida Jones. His memoir made him a best-selling author. Born in Chicago in 1933, Jones would cite his hymns of his mother sang around the house as the first music he could remember. But he looked back sadly on his childhood, once telling Oprah Winfrey that there are two kinds of people, those who have nurturing parents or caretakers and those who don't. Nothing is in between. Jones's mother suffered from emotional problems, was eventually institutionalized, a loss that made the world seem senseless for Quincy. He spent much of his time in Chicago on the streets with gangs, stealing and fighting. They nailed my hand to a fence with a switchblade, man, he told the AP in 2018, showing the scar from his childhood. They nailed my fence with a switch to a fence. They nailed my hand to a switchblade, man. That's where he said it. Music saved him. As a boy, he learned that Chicago neighbor owned a piano and soon played it constantly himself. His father moved to Washington State when Quincy was 10, and his world changed at a neighborhood recreation center. Jones and some of his friends had broken into a kitchen and helped themselves to lemon meringue pie when Jones noticed a small room nearby with a stage. On the stage was a piano. I went up there, paused and stared, then tinkled on it for a moment. That's where I began to find peace. I was 11. I knew it was for me forever. Within a few years, he was playing trumpet and befriending a young blind musician named Ray Charles, who became a lifelong friend. He was gifted enough to win a scholarship to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, but dropped out when Lionel Hampton, invited him to tour with his band. Jones went on to work as a freelance composer, conductor, and arranger and producer. As a teen, he backed Billie Holiday. By his mid-20s, he was touring with his own band. We had the best jazz band on the planet, and yet we were literally starving, Jones later told Musician magazine. That's when I discovered that there was music and there was music business. If I were to survive, I would have to learn the difference between the two. As a music executive, he overcame racial barriers by becoming a vice president of Mercury Records in the 1960s. In 1971, he became the first black musical director for the Academy Awards ceremony. The first movie he produced, The Color Purple, received 11 Oscar nominations in 1986, but to his great disappointment, no wins. In partnership with Time Warner, he created Quincy Jones Entertainment, which included the pop culture magazine Vibe and Quest Broadcasting. The company was sold for $270 million in 1999. My philosophy as a businessman has always come from the same roots as my personal credo. Take talented people to their own terms and let them treat them fairly and with respect, and no matter who they are or where they come from, Jones wrote in his autobiography. He was at ease with virtually everyone from American music, whether setting Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon to a punchy, swingy rhythm and wistful flute, or opening his production of Charles' soulful In the Heat of the Night with a lusty tenor solo sax. He worked with jazz giants Dizzy Gillespie, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, rappers Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J, crooners Sinatra, Tony Bennett, pop singers Leslie Gore, rhythm and blues stars Chaka Khan, and rapper Queen Latifah. So this goes on for a while. Of course, the father of Rashida Jones, along with Rashida Jones, is survived by daughters. He married Peggy Lipton. Let's see if that one's in there. He was married 3 times. His wives, including actor Peggy Lipton, who is in the Mod Squad, and his daughter, of course, his famous daughter, Rashida Jones, actor of some note, and in Parks and Recreation. Anyway, so there's your obituary, lengthy as it is, of Quincy Jones passing away at the age of 91.
Now that is what you call a legacy. That guy, yeah, seriously, everything he's done has been,
91 years.
Legendary. Yeah, 91 years of being amazing for the musical world and making so many lifelong friends through it as well. But rest in peace, and may we always appreciate all the music that has been created and orchestrated. The great orchestrator.
Quincy Jones and Casey Jones born at the same birthday.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah. Okay. For the next story, we're going to talk about politics, because everyone loves a little politics talk in your news show. Now, seeing as I cover everything that happens in Europe, we're going to be talking about the new leader of the Conservative Party, who is also the first black woman to lead the party, Kemi Badenoch. We talked about her before, I think when she was accused of being racist or something, and I can't remember the story, but we definitely talked to her before on this show. This is by Jill Lawless on AP News. Coming out of London, the first black woman to lead a major UK political party, Kemi Badenoch, is an upbeat and outspoken libertarian who thinks the British state is broken, and that she's the one to fix it with smaller government and radical new ideas. The new leader of Britain's right-of-centre Conservative Party was born Olukemi Adegoke in London in the 1980 to well-off Nigerian parents, a doctor and an academic, and spent much of her childhood in West African country. She has said that the experience of Nigeria's economic and social upheaval shaped her political outlook. I grew up somewhat where the lights didn't come on, where we ran out of fuel frequently despite being an oil-producing country, Badenoch told the BBC last week. I don't take what we have in this country for granted, she said. I meet a lot of people who assume that the things are good here because things are good here, and they always will be. They don't realize just how much work and sacrifice was required in order to get that. Just quickly, the difference between Nigeria and the United Kingdom is that the United Kingdom, the empire that colonized a lot of the world. Nigeria was the colonized part of the world. So yeah, they're not really applicable, comparable to each other. I get what she's saying though. She's just saying don't, rest on your laurels. And a lot of people do believe the UK is shitty, but the UK is shitty like how, stubbing your toe is shitty. It's not actually terrible to live there, but you should always look for improvement, so I agree with that as much. Returning to the UK. Yeah. I'm just saying the terrible things that are happening in the UK aren't comparable to terrible things that would be happening in Nigeria. There's definitely a ranking system here, and the UK is what you consider first world problems. Returning to the UK, age 16, during a period of turmoil in Nigeria, she worked part-time at McDonald's while completing school. Then studied computer system engineering at the University of Sussex. She later got a law degree and worked in financial services. In 2012, she married banker Hamish Badenoch, with whom she has 3 children. She was elected to the London Assembly in 2015 and to Parliament in 2017. She held a series of government posts in the 2019-22 government of Prime Minister Boris Johnson before becoming part of a mass ministerial exodus in July 2022 over a series of ethics scandals that triggered Johnson's downfall. Oh yeah, like the pandemic parties he was having. The government was like, don't see your friends, stay inside, don't leave your house. And then the government was having parties and gets-togethers and drinking in the same room with each other and spreader events, as what they called them. Like, really, you guys are telling us to quarantine and isolate, and you guys are doing it yourself. Badenoch ran unsuccessfully to succeed Johnson, boosting her profile in the process. She was appointed Trade Secretary in the 40-day government of Liz Truss and Business Secretary under Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. She held on to her seat in Parliament in July's national election, which saw the Labour Party win a huge majority and the Conservatives reduced to 121 lawmakers in a 650-seat House of Commons. Like many Conservatives, Badenoch idealizes Margaret Thatcher, the party's first female leader, who transformed Britain with her free market policies in the 1980s. A lot of people consider that a negative transformation, not a positive transformation. I think the joke people in Wales say is that Margaret Thatcher stole their kids' milk because they stopped having free lunches for low-income families, and it's just like, yeah, I'm taking your milk. You don't need that anymore. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. The Reaganomics kind of strategy that did not happen, the trickle down that did not occur. Her engineering background as evidence she's a problem solver, she depicts herself as a disruptor, arguing for a low-tax, free market economy and pledging to rewire, reboot, and reprogram the British state. Oh no, she needs to watch Glass Onion, Knives Out Glass Onion, because we're disruptors. It's just a bunch of bullywalk or whatever. Some British saying. A critic of multiculturalism, of course. Conservatives love a token minority that they can say, she's on our side. She hates multiculturalism. She thinks everyone should be the same, even though she's never going to be accepted. She's always going to be somebody multicultural. She was born and lived in Nigeria for 16 years. She's never going to be accepted as a British person. To these people, I accept her as a British person very easily, but these people will never accept her. But she's still siding with them because she thinks they'll be her friend. So she's a self-proclaimed enemy of wokeness, which doesn't exist. And Badenoch is an opponent of identity politics, gender-neutral bathrooms, and government plans to reduce UK carbon emissions. Like I said, everything wrong with the Tory party right here in one person. Supporters think her charismatic, outspoken style is just what the Conservative Party needs to come back from its worst ever election defeat. No, I think it's the previous paragraph is what they need to turn back on in order to come back from their worst election defeat. But no, it's just the person who was in charge and not their politics. During her leadership campaign, her backers wore t-shirts urging, "Be more Kemi." Critics say Badenoch has clashed with colleagues and civil servants and has a tendency to make rash statements and provoke unnecessary fights. During the leadership campaign, she drew criticism for saying that not all cultures are equally valid. Cultural supremacy, suggesting the maternity pay was excessive. Though she later backtracked on that claim. Maternity pay is too excessive. Well, good luck getting workers when no one's having children. And you don't want immigrants, right? So how are you going to get workers if you don't want immigrants, but you don't want to give people support when they have children? I'm waiting to see your plan on that. I do speak my mind, she told the BBC, and I tell the truth. Well, at least her personal truth in what she believes. Similar things that people gave Trump credit for. Well, at least he says what he's thinking. Sometimes you shouldn't say what you're thinking. Sometimes you should shut up and stop spreading stupid, radical ideas that aren't going to work in our society.
Let's elect somebody with Asperger's.
Yeah.
Let's elect somebody with Asperger's and have them just say outrageous things constantly.
Well, that's an old term for autism. But there's nothing wrong with autism. There's something wrong with being a megalomaniac, I think, which is what problems Trump is. But that's my story on Badenoch and how she's a Tory. Surprise! The leader of the Tories is a Tory, and doesn't, for me as a Tory hater, doesn't seem like any positive transformation towards anything good for me. Not that I live in the UK and I'm affected by their policies, but that's my story.
All right, we're off to space.
Yeah, let's go. Let's leave this place.
From space.com, Andrew Jones, China's Shenzhou 18 crew have returned home after more than 6 months in space. Yeah, China doing their space thing.
Ooh.
Astronauts Yi Guanfu, Li Huang, and Li Guangsu lived on board China's Tiangong space station since April 25th this year. They concluded their mission on Sunday, November 3rd, touching down at the Dongfeng landing site in North China. The landing occurred about 12:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The three astronauts were all reported to be in good health, according to the China Manned Space Agency. China's Shenzhou 18 spacecraft with astronauts. Okay, let's not do that. That's a caption. It was the second time that astronauts landed at Dongfeng during the nighttime. Observation and search and rescue teams used infrared thermal images to track the capsule. Prior to leaving the space station, Commander Yi and his crewmates carried out a range of scientific experiments during their time aboard Tiangong, including studying ancient microbes. They performed a national record spacewalk outside the space station in May and embarked on another in June to install protective shielding against space debris. Yi also recently became China's first astronaut to surpass 365 days in space total, having previously been a member of the Shenzhou 13 mission and 21 and 22. The trio also conducted emergency drills and captured video of the Jiaquan Satellite Launch Center in the Gobi Desert, from which they launched in April. and the Wenchang Super Spaceport on the island of Hainan, from which Tiangong's modules were launched. Breaking space news. Oh, all right. Let's not do that. The trio greeted the incoming Shenzhou 19 crew aboard the Tiangong on October 30, meaning China briefly had 6 astronauts in space. Commander Yi officially handed over control of the orbital outpost to Shenzhou 19 Commander Kai Zhizi on November 1st. The official ceremony marked China's 5th such orbital changeover since completing the 3-module space station in late 2022. China intends to keep Tiangong, which is roughly 20% as massive as the International Space Station, permanently occupied in operation for at least a decade. Officials recently unveiled plans to expand the space station into a double T-shape by adding 3 new modules. It will also send a Hubble-class space telescope into the same orbit, allowing it to dock to Tiangong for maintenance and repairs. There's your story on China space. Now let's look at ancient. As far as space travel goes, U.S. Space Agency, NASA. This is from Mashable.com. NASA's Voyager finally phoned home with a device unused since 1981. At 15.4 billion miles away from Earth in interstellar space, Voyager 1 won't last much longer. In fact, NASA's flight engineers may have thought the 47-year-old mission had finally kicked the bucket when the uncrewed spacecraft recently went quiet. The probe had shut off its main radio transmitter for communicating with mission control. Voyager's problem began on October 16 when the flight controllers sent the robotic explorer a somewhat routine command to turn on a heater. 2 days later, when NASA expected to receive a response from the spacecraft, the team learned something tripped the Voyager's fault protection system, which turned off its X-band transmitter. By October 19th, communication had altogether stopped. The flight team was not optimistic. However, Voyager 1 was equipped with a backup that relies on different, albeit significantly fainter, frequency. No one knew if the second radio transmitter could still work, given the aging spacecraft's extreme distance. Days later, engineers with its Deep Space Network, a system of 3 enormous radio dish arrays on Earth, found a signal whispering back over the S-band transmitter. The device had not been used since 1981, according to NASA. The team is now working to gather information that will help them figure out what happened and return Voyager 1 to normal operations, NASA said in a recent mission update. Both Voyager 1 and its twin Voyager 2 have been bopping along for nearly half a century, far beyond its original life expectancy. Launched in 1977, the pair was originally intended to study Jupiter and Saturn, their moons and Saturn's rings. For the 2-planet journey, they were built to last just 5 years. After their initial success, engineers doubled their objectives to include 2 more giant planets, Uranus and Neptune. But between the 2 spacecraft, they explored 4 planets, 48 moons, and a host of planetary magnetic fields and rings. In August 2012, Voyager 1 made history as it entered interstellar space, the region between stars filled with material ejected by other stars that died millions of years ago. Voyager 1 and 2 are the only spacecraft ever to operate outside the heliosphere, the region of space affected by the sun's constant flow of material. Voyager 1 is speeding away from the solar system at over at 38,000 miles per hour and is the farthest human-made object from Earth. It is so far away that it takes 23 hours for a command to reach the spacecraft and another 23 hours for mission control to hear back from it.
That's
NASA
crazy.
previously said that, right?
Yeah.
It's traveling at the speed of light, so the radio frequencies travel at the same speed as the speed of light.
That means
NASA,
that's like a great indication of how far away they are, right? It takes basically 2 days to
23
communicate.
light hours away.
Yeah.
23 light hours away there.
Yeah.
NASA has previously said that Voyagers generate about 4 fewer watts of power annually, limiting the number of systems that spacecraft can use. Flight controllers have occasionally turned off equipment to conserve power. The goal is to keep the 2 running beyond 2025, according to the agency. It's not clear why Voyager 1's fault protection system shut off the main radio transmitter. When onboard issues occur, such as a spacecraft overdrawing its power supply, the system will automatically turn less critical equipment off so it can continue flying. Based on data from Voyager 1, the spacecraft should have enough power left to flip on the heater without incident. Interstellar space is a high radiation environment and nothing human-made has ever flown in before. That means the only thing that teams running the old probes can count on are surprises. Last month, the team troubleshot a thruster problem in Voyager 1. At this point in the mission, nothing is easy or guaranteed, said Voyager project manager Suzanne Dodd in a statement. All the decisions we will have to make going forward are going to require a lot more analysis and caution than they once did. There's your story on space. Interstellar space is Voyager 1. Just won't quit. Keeps wanting to play. Keeps wanting to talk.
Good engineers. Good engineers out there. Still going strong, yeah.
Built some good shit, huh?
Yeah. Back in my day.
Scientists have started work and retired at NASA since this thing's been in space. Think about it that way.
And it's still voyaging out there. One day I'll find some aliens, and then we'll know we're not alone in the universe, I'm sure.
That's right. You could be 18 and started at NASA, and you're 65 today, and guess what? Your
radio still works.
Still there. Talking back.
Yeah. Your emergency radio is still working. Okay. In some culture news, people falling through stages in Melbourne. I guess there's something with the Melbourne stage that's cursed, or maybe it's just stages in general. It's hard being it's hard to be a live musician. Sometimes you're having such a good time entertaining out there, you don't realize you're about to fall in a hole. This is by Emily Wind on The Guardian. Chris Martin falls through hole in Melbourne stage weeks after Olivia Rodrigo's mishap. The lead singer of the British rock band Coldplay has fallen into a hole in the stage while performing in Melbourne. Chris Martin was talking to the crowd at the fourth and final Melbourne show at Marvel Stadium as part of the Music of the Spheres tour, when he walked backwards into a large open hole in the thrust stage. Footage captured by fans throughout the stadium shows Martin reading and pointing to posters in the crowd just before the fall. A person can be seen standing inside who caught Martin at the last moment and appeared to be cushioning his landing. A shocked gasp was heard from the audience before Martin said, "That's not planned. Thank you for catching me so much. Thank you guys. Holy shit." He then thanked the person who caught him and said he had the jitters. Yeah, I think anybody will get adrenaline spike from falling down a hole. That's why people bungee jump. It's the same feeling. Or the Tower of Terrors, right? You go all the way up and you fall down. Same thing. Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you, Mon added, as he was checked over by a staff member before continuing with the show. The mishap comes just 3 weeks after the US pop star Olivia Rodrigo also fell through the stage while performing at a different venue in Melbourne, the Rod Laver Arena. Okay, so Melbourne is cursed. I guess Melbourne's not going to get any shows for a while because everyone's going to be like, I'm not performing in Melbourne. I could fall through a hole. During the final night of the Melbourne leg of her Guts tour, she was running across the stage, pointing to cheering fans when she ran straight into a hole in the ground and fell. In a video posted to social media at the time, Rodrigo did not appear injured and got straight back up after the dramatic fall, saying, "Oh my god, that was fun. I'm okay, whoa. Sometimes there's just a hole in the stage," she said. "That's alright. Okay. Where was I?" After taking a few days off, Coldplay will continue their tour week in Sydney with shows from Wednesday to Sunday at Accor Stadium. Thank you, Joshua Miller, for the support. So there's your little cute and short culture segment on falling through holes in the stage. Make sure, hey, and that could happen to you. Famously in I think what was it like? Silent films and also pantomime. In pantomime, people would be walking down the street and fall down manholes. You know, it could happen to you. So make sure you're looking down. Look forward, but also slightly down so you can see where your feet are going. And don't fall down a hole on the stage or anywhere. Yeah, there's holes everywhere. So that's my my culture segment, really short. On to this day in history.
Boy, I still haven't found a video, so I know maybe you can find one.
Yeah, one for Quincy. Oh, I thought you wanted one for Quincy Jones.
Oh, maybe.
He's
Either way, I didn't find the video.
He's the dead guy, so I mean.
All right, yeah. Right on. It's my segment, so you can't look for a video during that.
Yeah.
But this day in history. Okay. This day in history. 1791 on November 4th. It became known as St. Clair's defeat. U.S. General Arthur St. Clair was beaten by British-supported Northwest Indian Confederation. In 1842, future U.S. President Abraham Lincoln married Mary Todd. 1908, British scientist Joseph Rotblat, a leading critic on nuclear weapons, who jointly won the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1995, was born. Happy birthday to Joseph Rotblat. 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun, King Tut, and all hell broke loose after that. All the Egyptology people broke up their Egyptology stuff. Tomb raiding. 1924, American politician Nellie Taylor Ross became the first woman to be elected governor of the U.S. state, Wyoming. First woman governor, 1924. 1946, UNESCO was officially established as its constitution. Excuse me. UNESCO was officially established as its constitution entered into force. This is a specializing agency of the United Nations called for the promotion of international collaboration in education, science, and culture. Yes, education. Let's share it. Let's all get commonly smart and stop fighting.
Don't stand in your white tower or whatever and look down upon us plebs.
Right. In 1979, the hostage crisis in Iran began as the U.S. Embassy in Tehran was seized by Iranian militants and a move sanctioned by the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. So the hostage crisis began in 79, which led to another horrible thing which happened exactly 1 year later, which was conservative Republican Ronald Reagan was elected 40th president of the United States. And he's set to destroying the middle class and ruining our construction industry, our manufacturing industries, and getting all his buddies rich. Yay, conservatism masquerading as basically looting the treasury. And they've been looting it ever since. 2001, the first film adaptation of J.K. Rowling's best-selling Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, premiered in London. So we're beginning Harry Potter in this day, the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, really? I didn't even know it came out in around Halloween. Yeah, well, crazy.
But in London. In 2008, the Democratic politician Barack Obama became the first African American to be elected president of the United States. So it was a good day in 2008. Our featured event, November 4th, 1995, Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated. Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, co-recipient with Shimon Peres and Yasser Arafat of the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1994, was assassinated in 1995 by a Jewish extremist while attending a peace rally. So that's what you get when you want to be a peaceful leader of Israel. Somebody shoots you. Matthew McConaughey's birthday today. He was born in November 4th, 1969, so he's 55 today, even though Britannica, they're still living in 2023. It's almost 2025, and they're still living in last year. He was born in Uvalde, Texas. Did not know that. I did know that because he got really pissed off at that shooting.
Really? Oh, okay. Vocally angry about it.
Yeah, I'm angry about it. 1946, Laura Welch Bush, American First Lady, was born. And the wife of George W. Bush. 1957, Tony Abbott, Prime Minister of Australia. 1960 is the birthday of Kathy Griffin, American comedian and actress. She's turning 64 today. We already covered Matthew McConaughey. And here's one you're going to like. Sean Combs' birthday. That's right. Puffy Combs' birthday. 1970, although I seen another one said he was born in 1969.
What a tragedy.
So it's his birthday today. Yeah, married. So currently sitting in a jail cell.
With no bail.
What national day is it today? Besides Puffy in a Cell Day, it is maybe one of his posse.
He got hiccups.
Yeah. Maybe one of his posse is gonna bake him a cake with a file in it, huh? National Broadcast Traffic Personnel Day. That's the people in the traffic reporter, you know,
Yeah.
they got the traffic down to 310. Can't understand what the
And they're on a helicopter. They're on a helicopter.
Crash.
As you can see.
Crash in a 310. I don't know what he said. It's National Chicken Lady Day. You might want to check that one out. Or you might not.
Chicken Lady.
National Chicken Lady. Honors Dr. Marthenia Tina Dupree. For 12 years, Dr. Dupree worked the second largest chicken restaurant in the world, known as Director of Community Relations and Training. She is widely known due to her work in the community. During her time to her work as a community and people she helped, Dr. Dupree became known as the Chicken Lady. All right, well, it's her day. Must be nice to have a day. I don't get a day. National Candy Day. It's Job Action Day. That's everything today. All of those things, all four of them. November 4th, 2024, on Before Candy.
Yeah. Woo. Did you get my link?
Hold on. Give me a second here.
Okay, well, while you do that, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands. Hope you guys had a good weekend, and we will see you tomorrow for Good Tuesday News Day, where we'll cover all the positive stuff that's going out there. Not that we only cover positive stuff on Tuesday, but we try our best to do that every day, I think. So we'll see you for that. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you know when we go live and post a video. We'll see you then. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Then we'll see you then. Take care out there, and let's see our Quincy Jones mic drop moment.
This is Quincy Jones, and I'm
just a short
share
one
with you some of the best advice I ever received in my entire life. If I can remember it.
I think this was from 5 years ago as well.
The best advice I ever got was from Nadia Boulanger in 1957. She said, your music will never be more or less than you are a human being. And so I started to work on the human being. I'm discovering a lot of things about myself, and I'm trying now for the last 2 years to get all of the negative thoughts out of my body. Grudges, no more anger. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And Mark Twain's words just overwhelm me. Anger is an acid which does more harm to the vessel in which it's stored than anything on which it's poured. And isn't it amazing to get to 85 to figure that out? It's pretty ridiculous, but you learn it from mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Tragic.
Yeah. Anger is...
You put out what you have inside, so make sure your inside is positive.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.